Hey guys, Jeff here, CJS Knives. I went over this jig that I made up yesterday, and today I made myself a different type of jig for different use. This is one of the blades that I have ground out, and this is a jig that I'm going to use for sanding. I like to get this sanded pretty good before I go to put my edge on it. As you can see, there's quite a bit of marks in there that I've been sanding out. They're left over from the grinding, from doing surface grinding on it. So I made this jig so I can hold it in my hand while I grind this smooth. And try to get some of the scratches out. And I was wanting to know what you guys do for this. How do you guys hold the knife? In times past, I've just simply held the knife and moved back and forth on my sandpaper, and that really tires out my fingers and my hand, and it allows me to really only use one hand at a time. I have here a piece of oak board that I flat sanded the top and got it as flat as possible, and it's a pretty tough board. Now I know some people use glass, plexiglass, whatnot. This is what I have, this is what I use. I put a piece of sandpaper on top of it. Right now I got some 300 on there, and then I staple it on the ends, and it stays on there pretty nice. And in the past, I took my knife blade and I would work it back and forth on the sandpaper, and sometimes sanded my fingers. Most times did a pretty good job. But with this jig that I made, I have the nut or the bolt down here at the end, holding it on, and really the only part that I'm really concerned on sanding is about from here up, just the exposed part. Here it can have some pretty good scratches on it, and it's not really going to matter because it's going to have some handles glued on there anyway, so you're not going to see that part. But with this jig, I can place it on the sander, on top of the sandpaper, and work it back and forth, and try to get some of those scratches out. I know it's kind of hard to see the scratches on there, and it even works better if I go sideways. So what I normally do is I start off on here with 150. Coming off of my sander, it's going to come off of an 80 grit for getting it flat. Come over here by hand and go 150, and then keep stepping it up. 150, 220, 300, and then I go 500, 600, and then the 500 is wet sanding, and 600 is wet sanding. So I was curious, how do you guys do it? How do other guys flat sand their blades? Do you use a machine, some sort of a grinder with a flat platen on it with different size belts? Do you do it by hand? I don't have one of those big 2x72s or whatever grinder. I have the 1x30 and the 4x36. That's all I had to do to use with. And so as far as sanding it down and getting all of the scratches out, I had to basically do it by hand. And I was curious on how you guys did it. Now another trick that I'll let you in on is when I start off with 150, I'll go one way. I go by 220, I go the other way. 300, I go this way. The reason I'm switching back and forth is so I can fully get the scratches out. When I see all the scratches going all in the same direction, that's how I know I've gotten those scratches out from the previous sanding experience. And then I will go the opposite direction. Then when I see I have all the sanding marks going in this way, then I know I've gotten all those sanding marks out from that sandpaper. And I'll switch to the next sandpaper and continue on until I'm down to about 600 grit or so. Is as far as I like to go. I'm not looking to get a mirror finish out of this, so I'm just looking to get it somewhat smooth, to get the scratches removed so that it will not rust as easily. This is 1095. It's high carbon steel, and so it is known to rust over time if it's not taken care of, or if it has deep scratches in it where moisture will occur. I know there's some discussion on that about how to properly take care of it. Some guys have had problems, some guys haven't. That's not the issue that I'm bringing up here. The But I want to discuss, how do you sand your blades? How do you do it? Do you have a jig? Do you do it by hand? Do you use a machine? Any suggestions to the process that I'm using? When I get down to the 600 grit, I do use a wet sand, a little bit of spray bottle, spray it on the sandpaper, and sand away as like that. So I like to get that process done before I put the bevel on, before I put the edge on the knife. That way I don't have to go back over and sand it again. Obviously we have to do some sanding when it comes up from heat treat, but that's a different story altogether. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed. Leave me some comments. Let me know how you guys do it, and any tips or suggestions you have, I'm well happy to accept those. Thanks.